Before I go further, I want to take a video to kind of break down the periodic table, kind of show you different groups and different regions, so that when I reference these moving forward, you'll have a better idea of what I'm referring to. So first and foremost, when we refer to groups on the periodic table, we're talking about the vertical columns, right? So this is group 1 or group 1A, group 2, and so on. Now, if you see, it might be a little hard to see, but this is, again, group 1 and also group 1A, 2, 2A. This is 3, 3B, 4, 4B. This is 13 or 3A, 14 or 4A. Now, and I'll mention that why in a second. So you can name them as, either version of those names are perfectly acceptable for all of these groups, right? So groups are vertical. The horizontal rows are referred to as periods. So the first row is period 1, period 2, 3, 4, and so on. And these last two here at the bottom, these actually fit into these blank spots right here. So these are actually part of the last two periods on the periodic table. Okay, so one thing I wanted to describe are, if I use the term main group elements. So main group. Sorry, there you go. What does that mean? Well, main groups are all of the groups that have A as their abbreviation. So 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, 8A. Right? So basically, if I cover that up, all of the groups that you can still see above my hand that don't drop down here, those are main group elements. These two, and all of these over here. This region in here that drops down that has the B abbreviation, 3B, 4B, and so on. These are transition elements. And transition elements have some special properties that you'll learn about very soon. And then down here, this top row is called the lanthanide series, and that's just because lanthanum is the first element in that series. And this is the actinide series because actinium is the first element in that series. Right? So that's one way to break it down: main group versus transition group elements. Now there's a couple individual groups that that have certain names that I'm going to reference throughout the semester that I want to mention right now. So group 1, with the exception of hydrogen. So hydrogen is labeled in group 1, but it's not actually part of this. So group 1, other than hydrogen, are alkali metals. A-L-K-A-L-I. They are alkali metals. Group 2, so beryllium on down, these are alkaline earth metals. Group 17, or 7A, so fluorine and below, these are halogens. And the last group, helium and below, these are noble gases. And so those are a couple individual groups, group names that I will definitely be referencing throughout the semester. So if you ideally try to memorize that, that would definitely be a good idea. Now I want to show you where metals and non-metals exist on the periodic table. So first, this periodic table doesn't have it, but on some periodic tables you'll actually see a diagonal line, or like a stepwise line, and it goes right in here. Right there. It's because basically all of these touching it, except for aluminum, these are semi-metals or metalloids. Semi-metals and metalloids are just synonyms; they mean the same thing. And so these are all elements that have some metal-like properties and some non-metal-like properties. And basically, everything here to the right of the semi-metals, those are non-metals. So we have non-metals over here. Everything else on the periodic table, so everything to the left, including these two series down here, the lanthanide and actinide series, those are all metals. So as you can see, the vast majority of elements are metals. And I'm going to have a video after this that breaks down covalent and ionic compounds, but I just want to introduce them briefly now. So there are two different types of compounds, covalent. So covalent compounds, and these are also referred to sometimes as I lost my train of thought. So covalent compounds are sometimes also referred to as molecular compounds. I prefer the term covalent. And so these are between all non-metals. So covalent compounds are compounds that only contain species on this part of the periodic table. Ionic compounds, however, have metals bonded to nonmetals. So ionic compounds will have some contribution from elements over here and some contribution from elements over here. And that is a basic rundown of some of the key groups on the periodic table. So hopefully you can keep that in mind as we discuss more of these things moving forward.